Stevie, do you think you'll ever take on acting?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I will. I've never had any acting lessons, but I put my date of birth and other details into a computer a few months ago, and of course, after about an hour of answering all the questions, I closed my eyes and there was about 30,000 vocations that I could be doing. Anyway, I closed my eyes and I pressed the button, and it came up that I'm supposed to be here on planet Earth for entertainment. I just about fell over when I saw that word, entertainment. But yes, I'd like to do some acting lessons. I think it'd be an amazing thing to do in the future.
What kind of roles do you see yourself taking on?
Roles? Yeah. Michael was always very conservative. I've heard a couple of his interviews in the past, and he said he'd like to act as long as the role as long as it wasn't too much of a reach. But I probably take a different line there, and I would say probably the best way is just to get thrown in the ocean and reach as high as you possibly can. In any role. I often find myself crying and that in regard to other people that I see acting on the screen and that sort of thing. I end up in tears quite often. Even yesterday, watching a little movie, Fantastic, Beautiful, and that sort of thing. I end up in tears, and I speak to the actors all the time and just tell them how brilliant they are. There's so many brilliant people on the planet. But yeah, I'd love to learn. I'd love to go to the Royal Academy of Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts and actually spend some time and learn how to act.
I want to ask you about a couple of your music tracks. First track I want to know about is the track called Rebecca.
With the song Rebecca, it's a song written for Jim Morrison. Now, it was a song that I wrote around about the time I bought this clatter ring. And anyway, and then a couple of 3 or 4 years later, as I had my law offices above a bookstore. So the owner of the bookstore came to me one day and he said, I've seen this really cool book, and it's called A Tale of Two Brothers. And would you like me to order it? Because they knew I was a great, Michael Hutchence fan and all that sort of stuff. And I said, oh, yeah. So I ordered the book on Amazon, and it came like about 3 months later from America. And I read the book. And the first sector of the book was about Jim Morrison. And the second part of the book was about Michael Hutchence. And 2 psychics in Los Angeles have said that they are the only people that channel Michael and Jim Morrison. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. Okay. And so I read the book, and the first part of the book was about, or the second part of the book was about Michael, it actually said in the book that the man who represents me on earth is the wearer of the clatter ring. And then in the first part of the book, it refers to Jim Morrison, and as a result, I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you straight up, I wrote the song as a result of Michael asking me to write the song for Jim Morrison because he's sick and tired of Jim being so toxic in the afterlife. He's absolutely not happy, and he's waiting for his soulmate to leave the planet and go back. So in that part of the book, it refers to a person on the earth by the name of Rebecca. But I'd already written the song Rebecca years before. Now, I don't know why I chose the word the name Rebecca. I was just told to write the song Rebecca, and I wrote it in 2 minutes in my bedroom. 2 minutes in my bedroom, lyrics, melody, done. And I said, right, are you happy? are you, are you happy? And he said, yes. And the lyrics to the music tell a story because Jim Morrison visits this lady, and I have a very strong feeling that Rebecca is sort of unconsciously aware of the relationship between her and Jim Morrison, because strange things happen to her and she feels cold air going across her, and that's just Jim visiting her in the middle of the night. I'm not sure whether she acknowledges it now or she might have recently acknowledged it, but he will not be happy until she returns to the afterlife. So the song's about him visiting her, coming back to Earth to visit her. If you listen to the track, it's all about him and his soulmate. And it only came as a result of Michael telling me, can you please get this guy off my back because he's so miserable up here. Can you please write a song and call it Rebecca? So then it appears in this book, which is this bookshop owner got for me, and I just went, oh, okay, well, I've already done that.
Tell us about the track Naked in London.
Naked in London. Prior to Michael's Passover, in 1996, I met him, but 3 times, but I was literally picking up, I'll tell you, I was literally picking up on energy from Michael overseas in London, and he was very, very unhappy, seemed to be very, very lost, and things would come to me in dreams and that sort of thing. He hadn't sort of passed over, and I had not met him, but I was picking up on these energies. And there was great sadness there, and also great stress, So, and then I met him, and then some years went past, and I wrote Naked in London, and it's all about a rock star standing on London Bridge, watching the lights of London disappear down the Thames River and out into the English Channel, and watching his life disappear. It's actually about the media. It's about the media in not only in London but in Australia. So it tells a story. There's a couple of lines of lyrics that I did take out because I was told, oh look, it might be a bit too full on, but a couple of the lines in there were supposed to say, the junkyard dogs of London, and meaning a reference to the press. He didn't have a good relationship with the press in London because he was a very sensitive soul, and you've got to have a tough exterior. But I think that there's some very professional people in the media and that sort of thing. It's just that he didn't gel with them because he honoured his whatever minimal private life he had. He just couldn't cope with the intense pressure.
Tell us about the song 97 Dream.
97 Dream. 97 Dream is a walk on Bondi Beach. By a rock star who was searching for the meaning to his life at a certain point, and the memories of concerts of the past come back as an echo. Catching the last train to the last concert, it's a great little song. He was channeling. He actually realised that someone was actually looking after him, and so he had a couple of visions on Bondi Beach. It's not really mentioned in the song, but that's sort of the background of it.
Tell us about another one of your songs, Smoke and Mirrors.
Smoke and Mirrors. Well, that's more of a theatrical track. Smoke and Mirrors. Yeah, it's a beautiful track actually. Smoke and Mirrors. Well, exactly. It's all about, you know, the psyche of a rock star and his experiences. And if you listen to the lyrics, you'll totally understand where I'm coming from, or where we're coming from. You know, there's a story just in that song alone. You know, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Some of these tracks I can't even remember. I cannot even remember writing them. I can't, but they're just there. You know, I mean, I know where they've come from, but I just can't remember the actual time that I was writing them. They just happened.
That's a beautiful way to create.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, it was the only way to stay sane, really, is not to remember your...
Exactly.
Your, you know, not to remember, you know, otherwise there's just too much pressure, because there's too much going on in life, you know.
Tell us about your track, Farfallina.
Farfallina was written in 1998. I was in the company of a beautiful Sicilian girl. So Farfallina is Sicilian for butterfly. So the song's a very, very, well, it's supposed to represent a very smouldering sexual song about a butterfly landing on your face. And I've had a thing with butterflies because I just see their total freedom. But it is a sort of like an ambient. It's about a woman, or womanhood, you know, womanhood.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's a sort of like a ambient track that deals with sexuality. Yeah.
And it's fun to say. Farfallina.
Farfallina, yeah, it's a beautiful little word.
Tell us about the track Hangman's Dawn.
Hangman's Dawn is a track that was written when I was at room 524 in Double Bay. And between Sydney and the Gold Coast, you know. Yeah, Hangman's Dawn was see, a lot of this music follows the storyline of breaking the fourth wall. And Hangman's Dawn is all about Double Bay. It's all about an experience that was, you know, received by the rock star. You know, there's various songs like Hangman's Dawn that have been written at that time when I was up in those cafes, and I actually didn't have any musical instruments apart from the grand piano in the cocktail bar of Stanford Plaza. So I'd go down there at 3 a.m. in the morning when everyone was asleep, and I'd just tinkle along on the piano and ask the receptionist if I was bothering anyone, and she said, no, play. And so I just, you know, actually the melody was just sent through to me for all these songs at that period of time. Well, the lyrics and the melody represent, you know, what the rock star is going through. And what is being experienced in that moment for that particular person, and yeah, it's very haunting. It's a very haunting track. I'm actually, you know, like you might think I'm a little bit crazy here, but I mean I've recorded Hangman's Dawn. I'll tell you this right now, and you should, you know, put this in the interview. That I'm actually having problems even remembering how the melody and the lyrics go for Hangman's Dawn right at this moment, because there's so much going on. But then I go, oh yeah, that's right, that's the one, that's Hangman's Dawn, because I'll play it and I go, yeah, wow, yeah, Yeah, that was an incredible thing. But there were so many songs coming so fast, that I was just taking them down, writing the lyrics and a melody, and then cataloguing them.
Tell me, if you can, a little bit about recording at Jimmy Barnes's studio to create the first album.
Oh my goodness gracious, that goes back to like 2000. And it was organised for me to go down and do my first little album. And I stayed, which was very luxurious on my behalf, because I'd never even sung before a microphone. I had never even tried using a microphone. Anyway, I spent 4 weeks at Jimmy Barnes's White House studios. And I was in this amazing room. It was an octagonal glass room off the main house, that the whole roof was just allowed the stars in. The whole room was glass. So I just be in that bed looking at the stars. Anyway, I was there for 4 weeks with this live-in band and a young producer by the name of Brendan Anthony. And I did my first little album, which was about 13 or 14 tracks. And in the middle of it, Jimmy Barnes came out with his wife and young daughter, who was absolutely gorgeous. And they said, "Oh, you don't mind if we have a bit of a party, do you?" And I said, "Well, no, that's all right." And I said, "Well, look, I'm happy. You guys have your party, and I'm happy watching the screen with his little daughter, who was absolutely in love at the time with Savage Garden." So I just talked to her for like 4 days. And she was gorgeous. She was like a great little kid, you know. And then the album was finished, and that was my first little foray into music, you know. I drove back to the Gold Coast from Bowral, and I don't even think I've got a copy of the album. I just went into the atmosphere. Maybe one person's got a copy in Sydney.
Sydney 301 recording from 2011 to 2012.
Yes. I went down and re-recorded some music at Studio 301 for about 18 months. And I had a great time with, you know, some really good engineers and that sort of thing. Yeah, I met a few people down there. I met Delta Goodrem, actually. I met her in one of the studios. She was doing one of her albums and had a couple of songwriters. She had the luxury of having a couple of songwriters with her, or pianists or whatever. And I was sort of re-recording some music and recording a couple of new ones. Yeah, it was a great experience. It went on for about 18 months, and I sort of lived there in some of the time, and you know, other times I'd stay at the Stanford Plaza down in the Opera House there. The guy that mastered the album, Stevie Smart, he was a great guy. He loved my music. Yeah, he just, I don't know, I was very, very chuffed, but I was still a baby, baby.